Hi everyone, this is Cody Smith. Welcome to my channel, Cody Smith, Pure Sport with Christ. I just want to let everyone know that I've put in a timeline from what's called the Southern Adirondack Center for Living. I believe that's the name of the institution, and it gives you a timeline of the history of disability advocacy, what we as a community have been through. And that's what I want people to know. And then I'm going to go into my personal story, starting from my childhood and building up, and show you how, along with other resources like the like a Psychology Today article that shows you 10 unique traits that are shared by all humans and only humans, and how that relates to people with disabilities, and showing you, the different myths and stereotypes that exist today and how they relate to me, and how, you know, they can be true, but maybe they're not, and ways to dispel them, because that's what I'm ultimately trying to do, is to dispel those things and show you, yeah, they can be true if you allow them to be true, such as if you have a disability but you don't do anything about it, then yeah, these things can be true, but that still doesn't take away from our humanity, because our humanity is totally separate from the circumstances that we're in, whether that be a disability like cerebral palsy, autism, Down syndrome, schizophrenia, you know, a brain injury, seizures, you name it. That has no bearing on whether we're human or not, or how human we are. It just means that we have this particular circumstance, just like the fact that you're rich, the fact that you're in poverty, the fact that you're tall, the fact that you're short, the fact that you're skinny, the fact that you're overweight, obese, fat, whatever you want to call it, the fact that you're, you know, lighter skin toned, darker skin toned, the fact that you're an American, the fact that you're French, the fact that you're English, the fact that you're whatever your circumstance is, has no bearing on the universal fact that you are human, which is unchangeable. And that's what I want to show everyone. So our disabilities really, in the grand scheme of things, mean nothing when it comes to being human. And that's what I'm ultimately trying to show everyone. And I'm going to show you how, yeah, due to medicine, the history of medicine, we've developed a lot of myths and stereotypes about people with disabilities throughout history, due to the fact that we've only paid attention to the medical side. We haven't paid attention to the experience side from people with disabilities, to allow those of us in the disability community to share our stories and tell you that side of it, when it's two sides of the same coin. You can't just pay attention to one and not the other. And that is ultimately what I'm trying to say, because, the experience matters just as much, if not more, than the medical research. Because, I mean, the medical research, they may come up with, you know, thing with, hypotheses and guesses about what could happen, emphasis on could, but, there also could be ways to deal with it. Like, yeah, if you have, say, cerebral palsy, it may be that you could never walk. It's a possibility. But on the other hand, there's also, treatment and therapy and so on and so forth, which I will talk about my experience with those as well as I go through my childhood and things like that in the story. But, you know, there and again, it lies on the what if, like if you get the therapy or not. And, if you don't, then most likely you'll never walk. But if you do, then you have a greater chance of being able to walk, even though it will take time, energy, and effort to develop that and develop the strength and, coordination to do so, you know, and maybe it'll be like a lot of the stereotypes say that people with disabilities, people with cerebral palsy, like me, we use wheelchairs, which personally I do, and I have all my life, but that doesn't mean that I exclusively use a wheelchair, and that may not be the case for everyone in the world who has cerebral palsy. So that's just it, I mean, we may use it, but as we gain strength, maybe we don't use it as much and it's only there to be used as needed. Depending on the situation, maybe it'd be safer to be in a wheelchair in one particular situation versus using a walker or a cane. It might be based not only on, our physical capability, but what about the terrain that we're having to go through? It might be safer to be in a wheelchair based on the terrain we're having to, move through and using a wheelchair or and using a walker or a cane. So that might be it. But that's just one thing I want everyone to know is, situations change as you work through it. Of course, it will take time, energy, and effort, as I said before. But I want everyone to know that disability is not a one size fits all, and neither is any individual disability, and that's what I want people to know. And now that I've gone through the history of what we as a community have gone through, I'm going to start going through my personal story and the medical information about what my disability is, namely cerebral palsy, and, you know, all those different things, which will come from the Birth Injury Justice Center. And I will allow everyone to know that information. And I will also keep all of my resources in the back of my book so you will have them printed out to read whenever you want. And please feel free to leave questions and comments. I'll gladly answer them as best I can because I want to have a conversation with my audience. Thanks, everyone. Have a great day. Please like, share, subscribe, and let me know what you want to know. And maybe if there's a way you would like me to express something in my book or in a video to make it easier to understand. Because I want to make everything as plain language as I possibly can so that anybody and everybody can understand it and grasp the concept and be able to join in the fight against disabilities themselves so that we can all work together as a single human team. Thanks, everyone. Have a great day, and I'll see you tomorrow for another video. Bye, everyone.